Okay, if everyone will take your seats, I'll call the meeting to order. The Board of Directors, Johnson County Supervisor District at 6 p.m. on June the 6th, 2024. I want to welcome everyone. I'm personally pleased to see such a good audience. Got several speaker forms here. If you want to speak and you haven't done a form, find it on the back table, please fill it out and indicate which agenda item you want to speak on. If you don't do that, I assume it's going to be public comments. In the public comments, you'll have 3 minutes to comment, and the board will not interact with you. Can't answer questions, we won't ask questions. So, with that, Toby, would you lead us in invitation, please?
Yes. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to come together tonight to conduct the business of Central Appraisal District of Johnson County. Lord, we need your wisdom, we need your guidance. Help us to make good decisions and to serve the citizens as best we can. Lord, we pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Okay, before we start the agenda, I know there's some office holders in here. If you are a currently elected official, would you like to stand up and introduce yourself quickly? Lisa? No? Derek?
I'm Derek Weathers. I'm City Councilman in Cleveland for Single Member District 1. So thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks for coming, Derek.
Sure.
You too, Lisa. I'll let your shot. Any other office holders?
Mike Lancy, Burleson Independent School District.
Hello? Anyone else? Okay, then we'll proceed. Consent agenda, unless one of the board wants to pull an item off the consent agenda, we will vote on it as a block. And anybody on the board want to pull one of the items off the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. You want to pull that off the consent?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's all. Yes.
Okay, the financial report for May 2024, item 1B. We'll consider separately. We'll vote on items A and C, this consent agenda. Let our thing motion to approve the consent agenda. Motions. Okay, so motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Please report the vote. I think we're going to get this. Okay, item 1B. Maybe you have a question?
Yes, I just had a question about the, so I noticed at first in the budget that we're going to discuss, but then I noticed that there's a $60,000 expense for trucking management. Can you help me understand that a little bit better? Where's that going?
Regular skill fees to be paid for managing our funds and the discussion room of the issues that is money and taking out of it. You know, they are all of the issue pulled out and put them on our house.
So it's not credit card fees, it's
No.
really treasury management fees? What are, how much money, and how they're not, assets? I think it was enough. So they're managing $3 million? And they're charging $60,000 a year.
So,
You can diversify your CVs, you can still be insured.
Yeah.
They should not be charging us $60,000 a year. They should be charging us a dime for that. So how can we get that fixed from the home? I'm going to make you.
Well, I know, we're talking to them. Because I think I can see that we're, yes, yes. And like the approach, yes, do it.
That's very disappointing. That was no, that's not. I'm not blaming you for that.
No,
Right.
we'll keep on.
Okay, any other questions on the
Okay, she said.
Yeah.
Just like.
I'm.
You're second. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, on to item 2, PowerPoint presentation. This presentation is targeted at taxpayers, and it's to educate the taxpayers on a big scale of what the property tax system is all about and components of it. It's not intended to be in-depth, it's an overview. So I think it's an overview that we put it on the screen here.
Yeah, I'm just between PowerPoint.
Okay. But anyway, I started this effort. It's been a collaborative effort. You'll see a name here you don't recognize, the property tax consultant I got some of this material from. Our attorney, Bruce Medley, had input to it. Jim and his staff had input to it. So it is a collaborative effort. I am not going to give the presentation. I just want to flip through the slides real quick. You guys can kind of see what it's about, or you can get an idea. And if you're part of a group and he wants to see the presentation, then you need to contact Jessica White at the Central Appraisal District, request a showing, and I or any of the board members are interested in doing this. We'll give the presentation, give it to whatever group wants to see it. I just don't want to do one-on-one presentation. So whether you're part of a elected body, church group, garden club, more than 5 or 6 people, I would be happy to come give the presentation. So,
Can y'all just speak up a little bit? We can't hear back here. Just FYI.
okay. I'll get the microphone closer, does that help?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sound like Charlie Brown.
A little technical.
This is the one who works.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's one. That's one.
Well,
There we go. All right. Chris Wilson, property tax consultant from Corsicana. I saw him give the presentation a couple of months ago. I asked him if I could use a copy of it. I took out a lot of his stuff. I changed a lot of it. But basically, it's a collaborative effort. People you see on that. Next slide. So the idea is to help taxpayers make sense of the property tax system. Next slide. This is my editorial comment. Next slide. And then we go through the definitions so that you'll learn, if you don't already know, the definitions of these various important terms. Next slide. And kind of an overview of the system as it exists today. It's established by the Texas legislature. Next slide. And then we talk about the appraisals and some of the details of it. Next slide. Should be the process. So those are the tools that the Central Appraisal District used to do the appraisals. Next slide. This is kind of a process flow that shows how everything flows through the system. Next slide. These are the types of exemptions. If you're like me, you might be surprised to find there's some exemptions you never heard of. I think it's unfair to taxpayers to be qualified for an exemption they don't know about. It means they're overpaying their fair share of taxes. Next slide. Here's an example we'll go through. Next slide. Here's another example. Walk through that when we do it. Next slide. And then this is, I really like this slide. It's got some examples coming up that are Ellis County. Chose not to use Johnson County for obvious reasons. But anything above that middle right there is tax increase, anything above is tax decrease. So you can go and flip through that. So we just show the taxing entities of Ellis County, where they each fell in terms of establishing tax rate for them, for their constituency, whether it was an increase or decrease. Next year.
Okay.
And these are the important dates.
Okay.
Remember, the next slide's kind of got a timeline for those dates. Next slide. Chris, when he gave his presentation, this was, I think, intended to inflame people. What I can't do with this is tell you how much of that growth is the result of the growth in population of the state of Texas. I'm not sure much of it is. Next slide. Then we've got some do's and don'ts for taxpayers. Next slide. And then finally, getting involved is the key. All the taxpayers that can need to get involved. They need to be involved throughout the year, not just show up one time because they're angry. That's right. And then we end with questions, which frankly, I suggested that the staff at CAD not give this presentation because people are going to have questions about their personal tax. You're going to drag them down a rabbit hole, and I know nothing, so they can't drag me down a rabbit hole. So that's the presentation, a quick overview. If you're interested, contact Jessica. We'll get on your calendar, and we're happy to give the presentation to anybody who wants to see it, especially the taxing entities. So Lisa, Derek, Michael, any of you guys want your entity to see it, let us know.
May I ask a question? I made some past year level of ignorance. So there were two terms in there that were, I don't know what they mean. So I would.
Any board member that wants to give this presentation, I'll have a one-on-one with them and walk through
Yeah,
the
let's
details.
get together and I'm not an abbreviation tax, but I tortured people with it back when I was an engineer, and now I'm starting to feel it myself.
Well, if you want to get, if any of you want to get the presentation, I'll be on the rotation, if you will, to give it. Let Jessica know, let me know. I'll sit down with you one-on-one and walk you through it the way that I would give it, and we can talk about how to present the material, what to say, and so on. So,
I am biased, but I want to thank you all for what you've done, because it's work outside of work. And I don't know how to keep on an attendance scale, but any step towards understanding what's going on with my money and my property personally is much appreciated. And it changes the entire complexion of the working with that.
yeah, this is one of the initiatives in terms of taxpayer outreach, taxpayer education. I'm sure everyone has seen the website. There's been some updates to that website based on feedback from board members to try to make it more informative for our taxpayers. This is a part of that. We want to reach out. We want people to understand. There are things you're going to agree with, things you don't agree with, but at least you need to understand how this system works. Okay, the next item on the agenda, item 3, is the certificate of election. We had an opportunity for an election. 3 positions would be added to the board that elected by the taxpayers. We only had 3 people file for consideration, so we canceled the election, knowing that we only got 3 candidates for 3 seats. We're going to conclude and save us the money of having to conduct an election. So we'll go from a 5-member board to a 9-member board, because Scott Porter, our tax assessor collector, next month will become a voting member of the board. And he is already elected by the taxpayers, so it's going to be somewhat of a balance on the board with entity appointed and taxpayer elected. And I've already signed those certificates, so that is the done deal. And then the next item, discuss and possibly adjust the taxpayer liaison officer's pay rate. Ginger, is there anything you'd like to say to the board about your pay rate, the paltry amount that we're giving you now? Could you stand up, please?
Just want to remind you, I'm not an employee of the district, contract labor. And I want to do more than the previous COO that we had. And so basically, that's it.
Can I ask, how many taxpayers have contacted you? Know?
I don't know.
I know you've had quite a few contacts.
Yes. And everybody's very appreciative. being able to answer it.
Well, now that that information's on the website, they know you exist, it probably has something to do with the uptick in grants. Any of the board have questions?
First question, the report that you give us, is that the only contacts from the previous month, or are there additional that don't make it to the report?
Well, once the deadline to get the report in, and anything after that goes on the next. Like I had 2 on Monday, but I already got the reports. For this week.
Yes, sir. And then I know last meeting, we talked about kind of keeping a log or something. I guess really the
Well, I already do that.
report kind of speaks for itself as far as the log. I guess we don't really know if one of those cases that you spoke to took 30 minutes. When I look at it, I really think it probably took, would you say 30 minutes or less?
Some were coming back, I have additional questions. I usually call to follow up with the district, make sure that if they said they turned in an exception, and if it's in the works, you know, like, one was a police officer, and he didn't change his driver's license, so when I called him back, I said, you need to change your driver's license, because what you sent in is gonna be rejected, because you did it online. Stuff like that, so, and I give them additional information, so any public, police officer can file a confidential. So I talked to them about amendments, sometimes they don't even know what to ask. And also instruct them to, if they have questions, to ask for their property card, data card, and it will give them a lot of information that they don't know how to get. It's available for them, so.
Okay, when Ginger first started, we passed a pay rate of $500 per month. If anyone has a motion to keep it or increase it or whatever, entertain a motion.
I'd like to ask, one more question, I'm sorry.
Good.
Ms. Allen, just roughly, in a month's time, or that busy month, I know you were out of town this past month some, but on that first month, do you have a feel for how many hours into the month that this cost you?
Well, see, I didn't start at the very first of the busy season. You still have it. So, no, because I was just getting started, so.
But I do recall that our last meeting, when the question was asked, do you think the pay is enough? You didn't hesitate to say no.
Because I plan to go and listen to some of the ARB meetings, every month to talk to the ARB members. That has never been done. No sense. So.
Do you know what we might be able to accomplish with the attendance at the ARB meetings? Can you just share a little bit of what that goal is?
To make sure they're following the rules that are set for, one of the problems and complaints that we had was somebody asked for an informal hearing, and we're not getting that, so to make sure that they have that informal before they have the protest, if they have
Great.
The state has a set of guidelines for executive ARP meetings. I have personal knowledge of them not following those guidelines in some cases. Can't speak to the present, the Ginger's committed to make sure that they follow the state guidelines. So, we can vote to table this until next meeting, when we vote to increase the pay, or we vote to keep it the way it is.
I would like to, in the name of due diligence, is to have you at least give us an estimate of your hours per month. And if with a little bit of support, and this is not punishment, this is because we're supposed to be stewards of money. And if you give us the right bits of evidence, then who knows, it might be Christmas. And I don't mean not till Christmas, I mean you might get a nice raise. And that's what I'm inclined to do, but I don't have a fixed point of reference. In a job where I was paid a salary, I would divide my hours by, or the money by the hours and see how much I was making per hour. And, I probably would be very shocked at the amount you're making per hour. And I don't do need some reference point to make my case. When you're asking.
I'm not an employee, okay? I have no benefits, nothing. So I'm paying self-employment tax.
I understand.
So I need, your
You're
time.
giving me something to go on. Does that make sense? Because I have not sat in a meeting that you were in attendance with that briefed me on every one of your duties, which is actually something I would like to learn offline and be aware of. Because I take it very seriously, and I was taking time very seriously. It's got to work. And I can tell from your voice, you think this is confrontational, but it's not. I've been a contractor 3 times in my life, and every time I made good money. And because I had to take care of myself. And when you flesh that out with your costs, then that will make me look to the ancillary charges that you have to suffer for doing this job. Does that make sense?
Not really, but.
How much it costs you to do this work? I mean.
Yeah, but I'm kind of basically on standby, 40 hours a week, or, when the tax office is open, okay? So, there's a lot of city workers that are on standby. They get a pay regardless of whether they can go ahead to
I
go.
know.
So,
I did that for 10 years.
I have 5 years experience on the ARB. I've worked for the city for 30 years, so I kind of know how all of this works. So you're not only paying for the time, you're paying for the knowledge and that experience. So
Okay.
whatever you want to do.
Okay, so, and you're getting $500 a month for that?
Yes.
Okay, based on a possible 40 hours. Okay. Now I have enough information to request a cheater raise. And I would request a 50%. Yes, was that please vote?
Any comments from the board members?
Yes, please.
Just the comment I was gonna make was regarding that I would certainly be taking into account your knowledge and your expertise in what you're bringing to the taxpayers. We were asking, I think, to try to get an accounting of your hours, like just you attending this meeting. I mean, that is part of the job that you're doing for the taxpayers. So we would not discount that in any way. Like John, though, I don't have a point of reference as far as my work concerns. I don't know what other counties our size are paying. And I feel like it's my responsibility to kind of dig into that, and I would be glad to do that before our next meeting.
I thought they were giving that initially.
If you know that, share.
It was more the first meeting when, all the yellows were here.
Right.
And we had them like, well, it's 200. 500, I believe, 1,000 and some 500.
Parker County
Yeah.
is about.
And Parker is more like us, same size. Parker. So whatever.
Yeah, you know.
Yes, yeah, so they're sort of like us.
And he knows, probably.
Yeah. But Parker is Mansfield, and I will say this, when they first started having the TLOs, of course, they always work for the board of directors, they don't work for me. But they have added more duties to them.
Yeah, that's
Things they have to do, at the end of the year, y'all will do a job review on it. And then she's going, maybe order to be, or whatever, you can get another one. But there's more duties that they have to do, more reports that they have to send to the state. You know, like your formal hearing, a lot of times, some of that.
The young lady would like 1,000 a month, is that workable for you?
No, I got that, but let me explain, right?
Okay.
Because I'm not cutting that down at all. I'm the one.
Greg, this is not only participation, it's already.
Yeah, and I'm asking a question, Greg, so that we can get an idea of what other counties are paying. We're still the taxpayers' money. $1,000 in this economy, it's not that much money. I'm not saying that. But if we've got a county that's similar to ours paying 200, that's probably not enough. But we still need to know where we're at with it. And you had mentioned that there's some additional education that the TLO has to do at this point. So where are we with the education? I mean, we don't have a whole lot that we're going on other than we have a report that comes once a month right now. We're only 2 months into
And
this.
they're trying to get it, she tries to get it fixed, if it's not that. You know, we're doing, it's what like the homestead, or the driver's license, right? And so you give us a call. We also need to change up our website a little bit so people don't directly call for something that can be done in the office. If they do, that's fine, but there's more duties, there's models that come down here, that she's paying her own gas right now. But there's more duties than what we started with the next 100 years ago with Mr. Wallet.
So Jessica, you said Harper County is 1,000?
Yes.
You have any other counties that you want to comment on besides counties?
Midland, K-33, Kaufman, 500, Bell County, or Bell CAD, 250. Travis CAD, 2,500.
Considered and others.
Those are the only ones that are responding.
But sales man, I'm not going to talk about them, but the paying 250. Those are pretty good things. But, he did a good job, it wasn't getting, but cruel from good. So,
And I don't think anybody's telling them.
yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Any last ones? That's what I'm asking about the education. and-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you know, we're gonna add more to it. $1,000 a month. Well, I will say, that is.
Because I don't got the expertise on this area. I don't think. I make a motion. Maybe it's down.
That's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's an electronic book to go with that too.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a review of the budget. Since that's a fairly bright topic, and I'm not sure everybody in the audience is interested in sitting here as we plow through the budget, we're going to move item 6 on the agenda, here to item 5. Public communications, call your name, fill out a sheet. You have 3 minutes to address the board. Understand, again, the board will not interact. We won't answer questions, we won't ask questions. We won't make comments. So, first speaker I have is Mr. Fernando Rodriguez.
Thank you, guys. Well, as you all know, my name is Fernando Rodriguez, and I represent Aples. And I guess in some way we represent some business owners Unfortunately, they're going out of business. And with this economy, it makes it very hard for them to pay taxes, and outrageous taxes, and to keep it in their business line. So we need your help, guys. I said that before, and I'll say it again. We need to keep business owners, their business, homeowners in their homes. But lately, that's not happening. You know, I bought my first house when I was 20 years old, and I wonder how many 20-year-old kids can now afford to buy a house and pay those outrageous taxes when the prices are going today. So I would like for you guys to see 5, 10, 20 years from today and see the future. You know what's going to happen? You're going to send people out on the streets. You're going to send people packed up in a small house. You're going to send people to live on apartments. You're going to send people to make those 1-acre properties into multi-places where people live because they can no longer afford to pay taxes. So guys, I'm asking you to please take into consideration that when you make those decisions. I would like to see, that's why I want to make sure I look you directly in the eye when I'm talking, because think about it. How many people you guys have put out of their houses today? You think about it. They create more homeless people and more poverty in our community. And you guys are preventing so many people from achieving the American dream, which is owning a house. And not having to worry about, oh, I own my house, I'll pay it off, but now I'm paying a monthly payment for my taxes every year. Then this is outrageous, guys. So we need to do something about it. People need to show up and pick up their voice, let their community know, let their leaders know, do something for our community. I would say to Johnson County, do not forget who makes you who you are today. This is not California, guys, and I said that very respectfully, this honoring. So what I can say, thank you so much for everybody that has shown up, and we want more people to protest their taxes. They're not happy about it. Because a lot of people talk about it on the streets. But we want to let them know, show up to those meetings. Let them know how happy and how unhappy you are about your property taxes. So I want to invite everybody to continue showing up and speak up about what's going on here. But again, I want to thank you for the new board this year. That you guys are changing for the first time in history of Johnson County. So finally, the public, the general public is having access to this meeting. And we want more people to show up and let you guys know, honestly, how unhappy we are with outrageous taxes. So 100, 200, 300%. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fernando. I'm going to pause here for a minute. We introduced elected officials earlier. There was one that was not here. Our House Representative, District 58 elect, Helen Irwin. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me, and I am ready to hit the ground and represent you the very, very best way I know how. And I will continue to come to these meetings as well as the other meetings in Johnson County. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Our next speaker is Ms. Sherry Hamilton.
I'm going to pass out to you. I've got 10 copies of factual information from the multiple listing services, because I'm a licensed realtor and 22 years in Cleveland, Texas. And I've gone through the MLS today and found some stats that I want to discuss. First of all, I listed a property at 1112 North Nolan River Road. It's a duplex. You have an assessed at $339,500. I listed it on May 13th, 2024 for $335,000. Got no offers, got no showings. I dropped the price May 23rd to $329,000. No offers, no showings. I dropped the price May 29th, $325,000. No offers, no showings. You are assessing properties, and I can't sell them for that value. As I was looking for comparable properties, I found double homestead exemptions being accepted in this community center. And I found 6 of them on the same road as Nolan River Road. They're duplexes. These are investors in our town that live in their homesteaded property and also get to homestead their duplexes. I've listed off 6 of those for you so you can go back and do an internal audit and find out that you've got a system problem, and you need to fix it. Second of all, based on Fernando, I want to speak about tenants because that's what I represent, because I also manage over 400 units. My tenants are going to RVs. RV sales are the largest they've ever been in the last 2 years. Another thing they're doing, they're going to your hotels, because your hotels are now offering long-term rentals. And I'd like to know, how are you going to tax all of them? Are they going to be taxed like all my investors are being taxed? Because they should be. They're collecting revenue. And it's not hotel revenue, it's long-term rental revenue. And that's where my tenants are going with their kids living in a hotel. Because of the properties that you are assessing more than a licensed realtor of 22 years can sell. And do an internal audit and figure out why you're giving double homestead exemption to people that don't deserve it. And I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton, appreciate it. Next speaker, Michael Petty.
I'm going to follow up. I'm a lifelong Johnson County resident. I've had real property for 40 years. And I'm going to follow up on what she was saying was a lot of us really care about our tenants. I have not property, I'm not a slumlord. And what's happened is your assessed values are so egregious and so high. It's insane. So what happens is we should be allowed to use the cap rate. And just recently I found out some of them self-report. Some people self-report and some people don't self-report. Based on the cap rate, let's put it this way, very simply. If your property is worth X amount of dollars, you pay X amount of taxes, okay? Pay X amount of taxes with that, then I don't have to raise. But if you raise it, I'm not the one that pays it, the tenants. And to us, $50, $100 may not be a lot of money. It's a lot of money to a lot of poor people, okay? And following up, the gentleman said earlier, they have nowhere to go. They go to a mobile home, they travel trip, they go to help. The appraisals are way out of whack. And the way to solve that is simply when you have rental properties, is use the cap rate to be able to report. Everybody self-report. And that way it's like, okay, Mike, you're keeping your rates down. That you're keeping your rates down. Guess what? That property's not worth, or it's maybe worth it. It's not worth as much as worth what you're charging. So therefore, I charge this. You don't go up on my taxes. They stay up. Now, if I go up on the rent, guess what? You can raise the property tax. To me, it's a really simple solution. And what's egregious is this hasn't been happening. I've been told for years and years and years I can't use the cap rate. That's right. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you can use the cap rate. Then they say, like, well, and I guarantee you I can show you some examples that are egregious, extremely egregious. And we can talk about that problem if you like. But they're very, very egregious for us. It will blow your mind. So we need to work on that desperately, because this is a matter of people's going to the street. Or going. And I take it so many times with people I have, I just consider my giving to the Lord, okay? But you can't just sustain it. Not when it's double and triple. It's horrible. And I can give, this isn't just blowing out. Again, I can give you examples. We've got to work on these appraisals. We've got to keep them down. Again, my solution, based on what they're paying. If this property's bringing in X amount of dollars, base it on that. And that way, if he's here, this landlord is doing a good job. He's keeping it down and helping these old people. Most of them are helping people. He's helping these people. He gets a break. If he raises it up, especially a lot of these people are from out of town. A lot of companies, a lot of apartments, they're out of town all the time. A lot of them are lifelong residents, lifelong helping people here. If that makes sense. Again, that's my solution to the problem. I go up my rent, take the property values up. I deserve it. But again, we are not the ones that end up paying. It's the ones there. We can't sustain it. I can't sustain those things. Otherwise, either got to sell the property or they have to move. One or two. Because you still have to make profit. You know, even if it's a small one, you still have to make profit. I've never been in a meeting like this. I've never seen anything so egregious in the last 2 cycles, last 2 years. It's mind-blowing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Petty, appreciate it. Next speaker, Douglas Hartsler, better known as Doug.
Good evening, my name is Doug Hartsler. I live in northeastern Johnson County there, and representing myself. I've got more of a tactical, recommendation, request there. Last year I did my protest, and, finally got in January, got my ARBs right there, and my main question was, how was my assessment, on my house value calculated? And when I finally got to the hearing, they explained all the pieces and the formula and everything. Okay, great, it was there on my A card, and looked in my paper, I didn't get that picture. But my suggestion is, if you can publish to me up front when you send my notice, how is it calculated and the data, an example there, mine mainly is due about 4 acres, is due to acreage. There's something there is, here's the current value you're using, here's the property that we used to do that, and I can verify the calculation. I may be okay with it, and I may not need the power and appraisal to find that, or a protest to find that out. So just a suggestion, as you can going forward, transparency, tell me how it's done, I may agree with you. Right? But if I don't agree, at least I now know the data and what I can bring to you to see about it. So, more tactical recommendation, yes, I'm going to eliminate property tax, if that's the long-term goal, is all that. I just want to pay what I do, what I'm supposed to pay.
Next speaker is Mr. Greg Cooper.
Good evening, Board of Directors and CAD employees. I appreciate your time and thank you for serving on probably the most thankless committee and body out there. Everything everybody said here tonight about the appraisals and how they're out of control is absolutely 100% correct. There's a serious problem in how these formulas go. However, it is just one facet of our problem. And if you guys dropped your appraisals to 0 right now, we would still have to pay taxes to some of these local taxing entities. If without the budgets of these local taxing entities, if they budgeted 0, it wouldn't matter what house is appraised for. Now, there's a problem with appraisals, absolutely. With how you sell that property, with the insurance you have to pay on that property and everything else. But the bottom line is, people like me that go try to rein in out of control budgets, these individuals in these local taxing entities, these school districts, especially the school districts, they blame you, and they use you as a shield. They use you as a shield to blame people like me saying I hate children. Hopefully this presentation you guys are working on, you guys really wrap up the fact that these budgets are what's sucking money out. Because if they budgeted 0, we wouldn't pay 0 property taxes. If you drop your appraisals 50%, the voter approval tax rate will go up. Every school district in Johnson County is taxing at the highest voter approval tax rate. I'm going to read something right out of Glenn Hager's thing right here that everybody here needs to hear. Texas law requires school districts to provide a $100,000 exemption on residence homesteads. They do that. That's the new law change. A taxing unit, including a city, county, school district, or special district, has the option of deciding locally to offer a residence homestead exemption of up to 20% of a property's appraised value on top of and in addition to the mandatory exemption. So you guys hopefully can communicate to some of these local taxing entities that they need to rein in their budgets as well as the out of control appraisals, because this is a very symbiotic relationship going on, but they're blaming you, saying that they don't have any control over this. If they budgeted 0, nobody would pay property taxes. And for the record, I'm a vet. I get a massive property tax break. I'm here because it's wrong, but other people are picking up my fair share. I don't pay 1 cent of property taxes. Texas blesses people like me. They're picking up my fair share. I'm here for them because they pick it up. So hopefully this communication piece will explain how much the budgets, because when you drive down 171 and you see TCU-inspired stadiums, and they're blaming you guys for that, that's wrong. So this symbiotic relationship and communication hopefully can get wrapped up. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Mr. Peter Stinson.
appraisal, praise the Lord, I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you. I want to echo off of what this gentleman just said. The rock, does this have artificial turf? Think about it. Out at Wheat Middle School, they just put in a multi-million-dollar artificial turf that took months. Have they lost their mind? I think so. Now, this is part of what you're paying. I know some of you, I'm homesick. You know what? I'm here for the citizens of Cleveland. I've lived here 50 years. Now, I'm very bothered by the fact that you, on a capital, you give me 5% for management fee, but you're paying a guy 20% to manage you. I want you to think about that for a minute. You know what the average person in Cleveland, Texas is making? $18 to $23 an hour. Now, those guys, with everything that's gone up, it costs them $11,434 extra to live today because of what's going on in America. You buy gas, I buy gas, you buy groceries, and everybody is right now an average of 25 to 30% less. So if a guy's making $25, you take 30 off, what does he actually make? $17. That's a fact. Now, with everything that's going on in America, and then all of a sudden, you come in and overvalue stuff, and you are hurting the very people that are suffering already. Now, if you're not looking at it that way, you've got to. I have rental property, and I'm proud of it. I build the nicest rental properties, and sometimes not the nicest area. And I take care of it. But now let me give you a little average here. One bedrooms in Cleveland, Texas, and I have checked already, go for $950 to $1,000. Two bedrooms go anywhere from $1,200 to $1,400, depending on the quality, the size of the unit. Three bedrooms in Cleveland go for $1,500 to $1,800. Southport work. One bedroom, $1,750. And you don't get garages, okay? Two bedrooms, $2,250. Three bedrooms, $2,700. Now ask yourself, can Cleveland, Texas afford that? No. I know it. Now, we are subsidizing students' lunches, 72% of it. Why is it? Because everybody's so wealthy? No. It's because Cleveland is a low-standard town. Now, how do I know that? My college roommate sat next to Sam Walton, who appeals Walmart to the average American. Well, Cleveland is the average community. May I ask for a few more minutes, please?
Peter, I'm sorry. 3 minutes is up.
Well, they said I can ask for extra.
You can, but we would, through this meeting tonight, I would invite you back to the next meeting.
Can I have 30 seconds to just complete?
30 seconds.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is a sign in the office of your officer that says, "May truth and grace reside here." Cleveland is a Christian town with values. And if you destroy it, which you will, with the increased taxes, there will be no Cleveland left. So I want you to ponder in your mind the word grace. And last but not least, when I built the gardens, I was only 7 roofs in Cleveland that year for retired people that couldn't live in their homes that I take care of, that all had homesteads. Ben and Linda Hall, salt of the earth, retired school teacher, doesn't have a lot of money. And you know what? If you make me pay the taxes that you are asking, they cannot afford it. Now, years ago, in 2008, when I built those, I went in front of the ARB board, and you need to hear this, and I'm done. 4 wonderful men, you all know. Lonnie Holiday, Charles C., Bill Ward, Joe Browder. Looked at my plight. Because I didn't build cheap, I build nice, and I take care of it. And they saw my plight, and they had grace. They gave me a deduction enough that I could rent to these kind of people in Cleveland, Texas. And it breaks my heart that I have to pay extra taxes to raise it on them. Because my wife and I made less money last year than we did the last 2 years, because the water heater went from $800 to $1,400. An air conditioner, 2.5 ton, $4,500, now $7,000. Amen.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. Mr. James Brown.
Board, yes, my name's James Brown. I don't represent any particular group, just myself. Homeowner, Johnson County, also a landlord. First I want to thank Jim and his staff. Every time I deal with these people, they're nothing but polite and courteous and extremely responsive. Okay? And I engage and talk sometimes with people who are angry at the staff. The staff's there just trying to make a buck to support their family. And I'm going to tell you, go deal with Tarrant County or Dallas County, and you can get treated a whole lot worse. Okay? What we have, this is just my opinion, this issue is not going to be resolved right here. Okay? Every one of you needs to invite 10 people to come to meetings like this, and we need to do this all over the state of Texas, and we need to get all over our elected officials' asses to clean up and totally eliminate property taxes.
Yes.
Okay? And we need to go to some type of flat sales tax, a tax that's paid one time when you buy the house, and then it's never taxed again until you sell it. And then the new buyer knows exactly what they're going to pay. Okay? It's just like if you get, a local municipality puts up a stop sign, say out in the county, and you get a ticket. You're going to chew out the cop. You're going to chew out, if your kids are doing something at school, you're going to chew out the teacher. If it's a school district, we need to get hold of the school board. We need to get hold of the right people. And by God, thank you, sir, for your service. And thank you that you're here fighting for us who are paying. Okay? God bless you. Okay? That in the short term, there are serious issues with some of these appraisals. Okay? I sat down with Jim a month or so ago. I'm going to tell you, I have rental properties. I've seen some of my properties triple in value in the last 10 years. Okay? And yet, no less than 4 times, and I'm talking to you guys now, I have gone in front of the ARB no less than 4 times and given them specific addresses and specific accounts of properties in Johnson County, Texas that are valued lower today than they were in 2013. And every time I bring it up, I make the accusation that there's improprieties going on, that somebody's getting kickbacks. And they seem very offended, but the next year when I go in, or 2 years later, the same properties, same values, and yet they go, well, everybody's value's going up. And I go, well, this guy's hadn't. It's the largest house in Johnson County. Okay? And I'm not going to say it publicly, but how can a largest house in Johnson County and other local builders and stuff see less than 10% increases over a 10-year period, and somebody who's just a small guy is seeing 200, 300% increases over the same period of time? That's broken, and that needs to be addressed now until we get the big problem fixed in Austin. Thank you.
Okay, that's all the cards I had. Or anybody else want to make a public comment before we move on? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to the exciting topic of the budget. All right, I would suggest that everybody has a copy of the budget, I assume. We don't have it for slide, sorry. Take notes.
I will. I'll talk to you next month.
I know you will. Looking forward to it.
You're not gonna like it.
You still know. All right. What don't we just start at the top of the budget and, if you have any questions, any questions, we'll just go down. My first question is, the column 2023 actual, for what period of time is that? Is it? How do you know what your actual is for the rest of the year? Oh, 2023 actual, yeah, right. So we don't have any. Oh, here's 2024 interest. Okay. All right. Any questions? Any?
Is what are you? Are we contributing from 14% to retirement benefits for each of them in the? Is that? Straight across the board, 14% is retirement. That's a high number, I'm just gonna recognize that, because I come from the corporate world. And a normal match is 6% of, up to like 6%, 7% of, what the employee contributes. So I'm gonna recognize that seems like that stood out to me when we're doing that. So, my next question is, in addition to that, we're paying 100% health insurance, and that's probably just for the employee, right? Okay, not for the insurance, right? And then I recognize that there is a 14% increase for insurance this year, which doesn't surprise me because we're all experiencing these increases in insurance. But I just want us to take that into consideration as we're looking at the budget, because those are some good benefits that we're offering. That 4% across the board raise. On top of the raise, I believe last year was 5%, is that correct? And again, I'm doing some corporate work, so it's taking me a little bit to kind of process all of these type of benefits.
Some of the things that we do on our budget too, the other entities don't set their budget later in the year. And, the state requires us to set ours almost a year in advance. So we don't know what other entities are gonna give. We called the guy that did our salary study a couple of years ago, just to ask him, what is going on around the nation and what's that? And he said that we're at 4.3%, for employees. We're on PLC, the county retirement fund. That's our retirement. Second one, that's a county fund. On insurance, we have an interlocal contract with the county. Maybe there's a little bit different in that they've been having trouble getting families to men that bring in their families, the insurance that we have to pay sometimes for a family is like $3,000, $2,600. So they were starting last year to help pay for some of that to get more employees to come in. So we don't know what their insurance rates are going to be right now. So that's part of the reason on that. To pay the county retirement, they'll tell us how much we're under funded on a deal, and they'll raise that if you go up and down. But that's why the 14% there. So
is that similar to what the county does?
Yes.
They take 10%
Yes.
off.
Sometimes they'll go lower. Like when I know that's not the corporate world for sure. The state will raise it above that. One year they'll make us pay like 16% to try to cover the loss that they had. We don't get to take our money out until you retire us. But I will say that they, just put it out there and you find out, they guarantee 7% return on their money. It's one of the things that helps employees want to work there. There's some of the benefits that we have. But that's where that comes from. And insurance, we don't know what the county, I've talked to them, and their personnel person, HR person, does not know what's going to happen. They're self-insured. They went to that last year. And but we've been with them over the years because we were small. And I know some things have changed on that, but when you got, we've got 40 employees, but we're small group. And I know things do transfers into insurance too. So I may be all paid on some, but when we were small, they were taking it to us and nothing like that. So that's where that comes from.
I have a question about salaries, not that one. Just in education. It says based on 1% year of service plus 3% increased pool will be distributed according to performance appraisals, merit, and additional position. What does it mean, 1% year of service?
Okay. You've been there 1 year, I think you've been there, we give you 1% a year just for that.
So if you work here a full year, you get
1%. Or less than that. But less than 4 because we take the 3.
There's an option now based on.
Yeah, and then we do job performances. And we stick move up based on the group we use. So it could be this one gets this one gets this one. Just based on their performance, not just here's a cost of work.
Alright, something I've never seen before.
Is there a fixed review list of performance data that you guys go through?
For each employee? Yes.
Okay. And you said it's 1% per year?
No, 1% for the year. 1%. You don't get 12. I've been there 50 years.
Yes.
I don't get 50%.
Okay, that's what.
Now, this is, well, let's take it back. You're going to do my job review at the end of the year.
Yes.
You do it every year. The board of directors will do my job review at the end of the year.
Right.
In December. So this is there, but I don't give myself a raise. It's only what y'all do.
Right. And that's what we're.
But on the other employees, because the way the board is set up, the only employee you actually have is me. And then everybody works for me, and what we do is take a pool and take a pool of money, and then you allow us, the managers and all, to do these job reviews on their employees, and then we get what that is. But yes, there's a set of questions, and we change it up all the time to, get what's going on in each department, because every department is a little bit different.
Okay, in our evaluation, we would be given
whatever you think.
No. The list of criteria.
There's a list of criteria, y'all can change that the way y'all want to. They've done it over the years, but switch it up.
Okay.
Yes, the old board, I'm saying.
Okay. You had a question on professional services?
Yes.
What is that? 5,004.
Okay, that right there is our capital group, our industrial group that does our mineral accounts and our industrial park. The industrial utilities, utility companies, John Campbell, big corporations that we as an organization, don't have the expertise to hire those people like engineers and all that. We don't have that, so we pay them to do it. And then we have some IT also in there, an outside IT person that we use for that. And then we have some other consultants that help us like budget stuff, because when we, the person that Jessica took her place, she worked there 20 years, and when she left, we used her to help us with bookkeeping, because we had to hire a new bookkeeper, so they would know what to do. So we use them as consultants, so that's what those fees are.
They're just consulting services.
Yes.
The organization you use for mineral rights?
Capital Group, out of Austin.
Just curious, do you have any idea where they come up with their information?
They have to use the,
I'm not going to tell you why.
Oh,
I have some mineral rights in West Texas.
yes.
And I had a little dispute with them. And they couldn't answer my question. They referred me to, they consult you, so that they'll answer your question for you. And when I talked to them and asked them the question they couldn't answer, they said, well, we have to talk to the oil company. And I said, well, what's the oil company got to do with the appraisal? Well, that's what it's for. So I was a little bit taken aback at that experience, because the oil company that's paying the royalties is the oil company that is determining what my taxes are, basically. This capital group's not doing that, I hope.
No, I mean,
My experience with capital group is when they do upgrades the previous year, and based on the vacancy, not paid, based on the amount for this,
and they get information that come from the mineral owners, I mean, not mineral owners, the owners, the operator has to find certain things with the comptroller. They get some numbers off there because of the way the code's set up. I won't get all into that. And then they take these numbers, they take this, and then they have to decide what's the curve, what's the, you know, there's a new production, and of course, Johnson County, we haven't had any here lately. So they use all the numbers off the comptroller, and if you have any trouble with them, we'll get a hold of them. I'm hoping it wasn't them.
No, it's not that. No. It's just,
but I've
had that one experience, and I used to work for an oil company for quite a few years. And it's not that I don't trust oil companies, but they run by people. I'll leave it at that. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
All right, going down the line, anything else anybody got to ask?
Well, I hope we can bring the ARP board expenses down, like
Yes.
I think in the years to come, we're hoping that can happen.
because that is just based on the number of protests. That was
Protests and the number of hearings that we had the year before, and we had no longer this year. We finally got 2 boards going. Now, we probably need at times 3 boards, but our building is not big enough to accommodate that right now.
So overall, and this may be my final comment, but when I look at the company that I manage, and when I look at where I've come from and my personal budgets, that 13% increase in the budget, let's just recognize that, because that's hard. If we were coming from a taxpayer standpoint, in my own household, that's probably been 13%, the increases, but I just want to be very mindful of what we're putting into that increase.
Well,
because that 13% is going to fall on the taxpayers.
Yes, ma'am. One of our biggest things that hit us this year was one of the things that Ms. Hamilton, whatever name here, brought up, is our true roll that was around 80,000 a year, and it checks our home sales for it. And the state requires us now to check those every 5 years. Well, we don't have the personnel to check them.
But what is the check, what is the state going to, if they were to audit us, where they gonna check it against? This goes back to that eagle eye and what I kind of mentioned before. How much, I know we have to have the data to do some of your job, but if we provide so much data that we shoot ourselves in the foot when the state comes in to do the audit, that's just what I want to, be mindful of. Do it, get enough to do your job, but let's don't overkill it where we're giving so much information that the state, and we're gonna find the state to just come right in and use that information against us, basically. They're using it against us. So 13% is above the inflationary rate right now, so I don't know. I hate that we have to go with the dog.
Well, I know that we need good tree road because we have to have that one. We're fine. Our aerial photographs, you brought that up last time, the state, that's for us to be able to find properties and stuff. The state have their own sources they do there. They have their own source of way of getting cells that we don't have, and they use it against us. As far as the true road, we need it because that's a map review question. That if we don't check that, and like Ms. Congressman said, that we had some homestead exemptions that people are getting when they got a homestead somewhere else.
Those in our own county.
Yes, and they probably may have them other counties that we can't find. We're finding out just using it, and we're not fully using it yet, that it's short as when they signed up for a homestead in another county, and then came back to our county and signed up, and we've caught it right there as we was checking.
It looked, when I looked at that data from that true roll, it's gonna create even more questions. It's gonna create more work for y'all too, because it's checking voter registration.
It checks driver's license, voter registration.
So many ticks.
Yeah.
That says, oh, well then, you need to question this one, then you're gonna have a clerk go and question. And it checked off 3 little ticks on there.
Well,
now we're gonna send a notice to this person questioning their homesteads.
And if it's got too much, if it's real red, they've got the mark. But if it's all red, it's like, better look at that one. And then if it's got one that's green, well, you're cool there. And the other thing, the new homesteads that we get in, we can scan them in. They can scan those sources and click them right off by ourselves. A person looks at LexisNexis and says, oh, I'm gonna go over here and look at this website and this website. We're in Truro, and the other thing, you can't use that to be looking up other stuff like LexisNexis. You can't look up the President of the United States because a person did it in another county, and it's funny the secrets are this small. So this budget that we have right here, we have to have it out by the 15th, but we can, if you think the 13th is too high, we can go back in and look at it before we send it out, because any of these have so many days to look at it, and then in July we'll have an open meeting. And that's when the new board will be there, and that's when it would get approved, and then they have another 30 days after that to say yea or nay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this 13% every year, or
No.
is it just this one time thing?
No, it's not every year. You know,
Is that what I had 5 years to look at, so
yeah.
that's what I was wondering. Does that make sense? Question. What was the increase last year, 49 And if you're not prepared,
I'll give it to you.
That would be what I think was interesting.
Okay.
And then possibly to look and see, where the adjustments had to increase up. And some of the forces that you described may be entirely out of your control.
Well, some of it's going to also increase our legal services because we're getting more lawsuits.
Yeah,
And having to fight attorneys, fighting lawsuits. Normally we try to get them settled if we can, but every once in a while you'll have one where you have to get an appraisal done. We can't talk about lawsuits. I'm just saying, our legal fees have gone up too. We're usually we didn't get as many.
Yes,
lawsuits as we are now.
And I was wondering if that was conceived a lot. I was wondering if it's different.
But hopefully, push the ARP, like Amy is suggesting, that we go down in the years to come. You'll never hear me throw the comptroller under the bus. You feel pressure from somebody like that. The other thing, a lot of it, and I believe y'all, all the new members and everything that I've noticed, talk to me, they know it's going to have to be a state legislative thing to change the way Craig, I believe, when he spoke. They're going to have to change things at the legislature, and they keep trying to do it with things, but I think they're going to have to go in there and make some changes because, like I say, I've been working this since I was 16 years old as a kid, and I didn't think it would ever be my career.
It's a little late to come.
Yes. But when you go back and look at it from 1973, back in that era, you used to have 3 days of hearings at school districts. Ferguson School, I'm using Ferguson School. 3 days of hearings, a 10-day appraisal notice, coming up with the same thing, no homestead exemption at the time, no over 65 exemption. And they, in 1979, they made a ceiling for the over 65 and disabled. So things have changed, but in some ways, things haven't changed. We call the no new revenue rate that now, it used to be the effective rate. Bringing the same amount of money as last year. No new revenue rate, same thing. So things have changed, they've got more exemptions, $100,000 exemption, 20%, a school district can do that. City can do that, a county can do it, 20%, not less than $5,000. So they've got the mechanism there, but I think sometimes on some of the laws, if they would take the 20% out and let them have a flat rate, like 15,000, 20,000. 20% is all right. But when you have a $100,000 house, 20% is different from a $1 million house at 20%. But if you have, there's been over the years where cities wanted to do a flat $15,000 homestead on the homestead, but they couldn't. They have to do 1 to 20%, not less than 5,000. So there's some things that need to be changed, which would help a lot of this. And there was some good things brought up tonight that I've got notes on, things that we have to take care of. But there's things the state's going to have to do that. We can have 9 members, we can have 20 members, and it's not going. You can't change what you want to change. Because I know you got it in your heart to change things, but we can't. Me, her, the staff, we can't change it. Right. And that's frustrating for, I think, not only for the staff, but for everybody.
Okay, yeah,
We appreciate the fact you have to operate in compliance with state law and regulation, and sometimes it's hard to swallow, but you just have to do it because that's what the guys often say.
But we can really get this before we send it out before we
Yeah.
I mean, y'all can give me guidance and then I can start whittling it down and then.
Well, I'll leave it this for you guys, so.
Let's correct me. We don't have to approve this. That,
This juncture, no.
no, it's approved in July. Or,
Yeah, it just has to be proposed today or before the 15th.
Yeah.
It doesn't really get a go out there, it needs to get voted on until.
yes, great.
I've got a question about the computer stuff. You said you're, going to replace 11 computers, 2,000 laptops, board.
Oh, no.
No, these are old computers, our desktop computers that are getting old, so it's time to change.
I didn't notice when.
And then, let me finish, John, let me finish.
Sure.
So that's supplies and equipment. Data processing then software. Where's the computer software license? It says no increase expected, Texas, EPP, integration, and so forth. So data processing is where you put software. Is all of our software state compliant?
Or we know it is, yes. Sorry, John?
Yeah, I did notice that, that some of your equipment is outdated.
Yes, it is.
And that is an efficiency killer these days.
Yes.
Because the box is, you know, it's been, as software moves forward, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier.
Yes.
And, yeah, so
And we're trying to change them out, change our servers out. You know, sometimes, sometimes I'll put a few listings that can you get back in here and replace this right now? Which way is the best way to go and something we want to look at in the future? Because they're changing all the time, but when you got some, older software, sometimes when you change it, it can jump with the older software that we have. Our camera system, we're hopefully in the future, we switch over to a new camera system, but we want to make sure it works because we don't need any glitches. But yes, we're replacing.
That's heavy work with compatibility issues. Does a supplier do that for you?
Yeah, we have IT guys and stuff that can do this for me. Amy's good help at it. We learn over the years how to do it. We don't have an IT staff per se ourselves. I've talked to several different entities. Sometimes when you have your own IT staff inside, they run your system, but they don't keep updated with the stuff. So it works out for us pretty good.
The large maintenance agreement increase, is that something that came into play this year?
Oh, yes, that is where True Road and all that. Yes, yes. So that's what we saw. And we had some unexpected expenses this year that we didn't see coming, the bank cards and stuff that we didn't see coming, like the laptops were fixing it. That was unexpected for us, because.
This is a good question, Mario. You see it like us. If unusual items that are, that's why we're doing several years, that are high ticket items.
Yes.
It'd be nice to put something everything.
Yes, we'll start doing that by notes.
So that we don't even have a question.
Yes.
So, and yeah, it does make it.
It'll make it easier for it. It'll make it easier for y'all.
I'm trying to keep up with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm good.
Okay, next time I've got a question, that's auto allowance.
Yes.
Quick calculation, it works out about, how many employees do you have?
We have
40 employees total?
Yes.
So it works out about $3,000 per employee for auto allowance. Who gets auto allowances?
I get an auto allowance, our appraisal director is all else going out in the field. Our appraisers, they use their own car, buy their own insurance. So we don't need vehicles. So, and they go out.
So then this is the stuff that is used
Yes. For business purposes.
Does it pay for mileage?
No, we just pay them a flat fee. Yes.
that, I just impressed to him. I don't know what you guys can go out and feel. They asked me questions. I got legal services.
Yes.
Is that, because that's what you mentioned a while ago.
Attorney fees.
Attorney fees for all the suits and stuff.
That's the stuff that we go with.
Yeah, with that last 30 actions, if you're speaking at,
No, Bruce.
I'm not charging all that.
Not that you're not working.
I don't know, just tell me if you want to answer the super important question, but with that big a number for legal expenses, we do, I guess, do the analysis to make sure it's worth pursuing that rather than just settling it and getting it out of the way for that year. Because next year the appraisals are gonna come again.
We look at that, how much it costs us. Like we've got one right now that it's been an ongoing battle, but we can't.
That's all you have to say is
But you look at it, because it gets frustrating sometimes when you get a lawsuit because, the groups that sue are not normally homeowners. You know, they don't file suit, they may file an arbitration. But when a suit comes, the big money pockets are on the other side where you look at it and go, hey, how much am I fighting to get this? Because, this has been gone, the person's got, but we did one, just for one time they spent, let's say they spent $10,000. We spent let's say $500 as a judge gets. Well, if it comes down to a case like that, we could settle the value and nobody would have spent that money. So.
But you didn't know that going into something like that. But I'm just thinking that you answered the question, you said how we look at that.
We analyze it and talk to the attorneys. When we go to court, how's it gonna work out? Because that can change real quick. So we do analyze that, yes ma'am.
Okay, let me ask then, item 5082 publications. What is the drill position?
That is the, commercial, so like analysts, that we can look at commercial properties that the state uses that we don't get to use.
Okay. You don't have any other source for commercial sales, do you?
You got CoStar and all that you pay for everyone.
Yeah. Maintenance agreements, what's the cost of maintenance agreements?
Oh, that's true.
That's software maintenance.
Software stuff, yes.
We already talked about the treasury management.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked
We're gonna
about
talk
that.
about that.
Get that down.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I don't like these, I think, I got this, and I think they're very clear. But,
Maybe if you can, one day, maybe you can come in and talk to me just.
the fixed assets are pretty good job, but,
Any fix assets to working on part of our building and all. Just to, and if we buy some computer stuff, certain computer stuff, it's pretty good fixed asset. And then in our building, maintenance up there, this last spring, our building is quite open. And on the back, we got a stucco wall, and part of it popped. And water out behind it, so we're gonna have to fix a piece of it back there. But the break is good. It's just that we found it quick enough to
We
start.
start blessing from God, we hear blessing for everybody.
Yeah, but we may be coming to you for some repairs on parts of our building.
Then the last question I have is parking fees. What are those for?
Okay. We don't have enough parking around our building. We park in the back, but we rent from the city of Cleveland behind the fire station for our.
So you don't have enough spaces for your staff?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
And then if we go to lunch or anything like that, and ARV's going, they'll come into our come into our parking lot and park. Well, I'm not gonna run out there and say, hey, you're gone. So everybody that comes, we don't like it, but they have to park on the street. But if we have open spaces on the side over there, the ARV parks, people will park there, but we have to rent spaces across the get off our service.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, he can. But we park
to intervene for us.
Yeah. But we park on the side behind the fire station.
Mr. Hinsfeld, you know there was that Colonial Bank and there's parking behind you, you might at least that real cheap.
Okay, I'll check with it, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board? Entertain a motion. This is a proposed budget, it's not a final budget.
We're in Russell table it right now, too, so there's some things that.
That's a look at it. I will say we have to leave it out by the 15th. June.
I thought you just said we didn't have to get it out.
No, I have it out by June 15th.
To the
taxing entities. But if you tell me something that you want to see, drop something, Bruce, or anything wrong with this, then we'll do this. So look at it. I mean, we're not waiting on it before I send it to everybody.
Eventually, you're gonna have to publish it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't have a problem with public. I'm used to workshops and things like that taking place for budgets, so. Which would be just what we did right here and talk about,
I just need to send it, I just need to send it to the entities and then they can look at it. And you can make changes to it even come.
So what, it says all of this is a proposal.
So what we're voting on tonight is proposed budget, not final budget.
You're really not voting on it.
We
You
don't
don't have to vote on it. Just
Oh,
give
okay.
permission to send it to the entities.
I would need to give you permission to send this rough draft to the entities.
Okay. But we'll go back and look at it too. With all the questions I heard.
And then, do we need another meeting next week before the 15th to finalize? You think we're good to go?
Good to go. We
We'll-
said it,
we'll
but
add- we'll
we
add-
got questions, but we can fix that as it goes. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna have meetings to do more discussions between now and July, when it actually has to be voted on.
Yeah, we can do that. Or we can talk about it on that. Before you approve it, there's a public meeting. You can do that right there.
Yes.
Where do you go from that?
I'm just getting permission to send it to the entities so they can look at it. I may get it, no, I don't like it.
Have you ever had any feedback from the entities?
They might say a few things, but nothing more than this.
They give you some of they have to communicate.
One of the reasons why it looks kind of weird to have the timing the way it is, one of the reasons why we're doing it now is because your cities and your schools are in budget right now. And it'd be nice if I'm sure they would like to know about what money they're going to be sending these races.
Then they can give feedback if they've got issues.
Yes.
See what we need to vote, we need permission to send it.
There's some appraisal district don't even take the preliminary to the board, they just send it, then have the meetings. we've always, that's what we're looking at.
I mean, that's what I say. I think most of the information is sent out. We read it, no one accepted it.
I second. Outstanding.
All in favor?
Aye.
Here we go. Alright. They do electronic, but here this thing.
See, there's like.
No, that's okay. Alright, now we're on to the staff reports.
We've changed up our, do you have it, or do you go there? We've changed up our departmental reports a little bit. Nothing really to report. We're right in the middle of having protest hearings, trying to get all the homestead exemptions in. We'll be sending out our next set of estimates to the entities in the next couple of days.
I was confused with the reports, I must say.
Well,
like that one right there, that's. I looked at it and like.
But I won't take a lot of time.
Okay.
So, essentially, I was just wanting to give a visual about that shows our timeline and the multiple layers of things that our attention has to go to at the same time. So, for example, August through December, we had 2023 ARB hearings. Plus, so when our appraisers, we have 6 residential appraisers, and they rotate. So they'll have one day in the office for hearings, one day for prepping for the hearings, and then one day out in the field. And in order for us to do field work and be in those hearings and prepare for those hearings with 6 appraisers, it's kind of incredible that they're able to do that. When you look at the period from January to April, March, so from August to December, they're doing field work and they're doing hearings. In January, that's when they start gathering all their information in order to make those mass appraisals. And so they have about a 2-month period to do all that analysis. Field work and appraisal are really 2 different things. They're picking up new things, they're removing things from the roll that are no longer there, they're checking permits, and then come in and do their analysis. They have about 2.5 months to do that, and then do their sales analysis and get that into data entry. Data entry literally has like a month to get all of that data put into the system, and we're talking about over 100,000 accounts. And where we have 6 residential appraisers, we have 2 in a good year data entry clerks. And so to offset that workload, some of my department has taken on some extra data entry duty. So we now do all the new accounts. So at the beginning of the year, we are doing the 2024 mass appraisals, plus we have renditions coming in. The renditions, the deadline is April 15th. They have to work those pretty quickly. The ag applications, used to, we could gather those and work them, like at the end of the deadline. But we don't have that luxury anymore because the state has changed the deadline. Once someone files an application, we have to look at it and turn around and send them a letter within 30 days. And so because of that timeline, it just puts a lot of the workload due at the same time. And so while the appraisers are handling the ag and the BPP and the appraisals, they're also every other year handling the property value study. And so this year we received our results at the end of January, beginning of February. And then in February, we're having to send ourselves to the state. Then we appealed our 2023 property value study and, won that, which is good, but it's all very time consuming, especially for our appraisal director and assistant director. They're really having to do a lot of coordination just to make sure that all these things are getting done within the timeline and hitting those deadlines. And so this is really what this graphic is intended to show.
So that brings us to what's a sales submission?
A sales submission is something that the state requires us to send. Unfortunately, it's not reciprocated. It would be wonderful if
So
the
whatever
state.
sales data you have to provide.
We have to send it. And what they do is they're checking us to see if we're sales chasing. And that's what the alternate,
Do they want you to sales chase?
no.
But they want you to be accurate.
They want us to be accurate.
So.
But if you're at
You don't have to go to the details, but I know for time's sake, I'm just curious as to if that was actually what it meant, that they were wanting you to.
they want you to keep within that 95%. And, but if you're doing your job real good, you get real tight, then you have to do this alternate test that says, hey, you're chasing, so we have to prove to them, well, this one had a new improvement, this one was remodeled, you have to go through this scenario. So
this is sales data compared to what you have as a person.
yes. And on a lot of these reports we're doing, if they get confusing, we're changing some things up to try to make the taxpayers and the people understand what all the little things we did.
It's
that we do. It's really trying to make it look better.
Outcomes.
Yes. But that's really on the report, so we can, right in the middle of the protest hearings. Okay, right in the middle of it, minerals are still out there. Minerals went down a whole lot this year. I'll report to you right now, they went down over $500 million from last year to this year. They were like 800 million last year, they're down to about 370 million. Also with the, and then we'll get out of here. Also, they did the circuit breaker this year, and they included minerals. That's okay, except that we had some some operators, their wells went from $20,000 up to $400,000. Some of them even higher. Well, 20% on top of 20,000 is 24,000, and there's $300,000 worth of minerals sitting out here that won't get taxed. Well, if that goes down next year, we'll get another 20% if it doesn't go down to 20 again, if it drops out of the bucket. That was the fallacy with minerals, to be honest. Commercial properties and stuff that were under 5 million, 20% off of it, just to let it go up 20%, and that helps everybody, because you got a homestead on, you get 10% on your homestead. Well, if you have an apartment under $5 million for 24, and it went from 100,000, let's say, up to 400,000, you can only go up to 120. If you were the owner January 1st of 23. But when you do minerals out in West Texas and all, some of them big wells out there, they're getting hammered because they only got 20%, but that's a big thing for some of the entities out there because they're 95% minerals. So it was gonna hurt them, but here and there, Amy's, I'm just gonna give you all the reports right quick. And then y'all can come in and look at this. Amy's work is doing real good. The girls are wanting for me there to have a floater to go to the front counter. Anywhere we need, I'll answer the phone. Everybody tries to be real polite to everyone. I need to start getting Amy to put the compliments that we get in our office, because everybody hears bad that we do, but sometimes we get the ones like, man, that was really nice. They did this. But overall data entries, we've got a person that we moved from Amy's department, because what we really like to do is train the person how to customer service to go to another department, because they already know the system and it makes it better. So everything's going smooth right now. Even as crazy as it's been this year, our office seems a little bit more calm. I know people don't believe. I would never push anything I believe on anybody, because that's not my purpose. Somebody brought up my period that I have a grace thing signed in the front, you know. I believe in grace, I believe in things, but I also believe that God can protect you and protect your office and your people. You don't have to believe like me, but I believe that. So nobody take that personally. It's just my personal belief. But I'm thankful for my staff and what they did. I know I couldn't do it without them. But we have been known as one of the nicest government entities around other appraisal districts. So I would just like to, my part ended on things are going pretty good. I know that we hear all of this, and I took the notes. I got the notes. And we're always looking to improve, like we're looking to improve that. We're looking to improve the website. We've done a lot of things, and it's cost us some money. But is it worth it? Yes. So I would just like to thank all of everybody that came. You know, sometimes it gets, you know, you see everybody coming, you're like, but I want to thank everyone for everything, and we're only going to get better in the future. So, Amy, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, you know, yes, we do have that sign hanging in the walking way, true and grace recycling, and it's not something that is for the taxpayers coming in. It's a sign to us. And in the years that I'm working at the appraisal district, and working with other appraisal districts, Jim has never, if there was ever a gray area and he could decide on the behalf of the taxpayer, he has always. We may have had a list of reasons to back assess something, but I've never known Jim to back assess something, and I've been there 20 plus years. And to have a heart for the taxpayers like he does, and it, you know, like there may be the compliments that come in, it comes from the top down. And, you know, yeah, there may be people that want to get rid of cheap and bring someone in that's cheaper. But are you going to bring someone in who is going to be black and white and, yeah, we back assess for everything. We're going to get every single individual we can for the tax jurisdiction. And we don't do that. So anyway, I just kept on.
Well, I will go back on that one. We do back assess. We find omitted properties and stuff that's illegal. Because that's why I have an attorney. I call Bruce. What can be done, what can't be done, what cannot do, because the law is the law. If you get me into the shall, then shall is shall. But you want to sit down and listen to me. And I'm not trying to give a hurrah. I'm just saying, we have to listen like this board's listening. If you come into the entities, to our office, we're going to listen to you. And you may not agree with us on everything, but we will listen. And then if there is something there and you have to go to the ARB, I have nothing to do with ARB. I just want to put that out there. That's theirs. You go to the ARB, you sue me, then you get an attorney, your attorney will talk about it, then we have to sit down, then we send it. That's the way the system works. But if you go to the ARB, you cut us off. You want that informal, come in, talk to someone informally. But if you want to go straight to the board, you fill out the protest, you go straight to the board. But after you leave that ARB meeting, you cannot go out the ARB door, come to this side, say, I want to talk to Jim about, I want you to change that value that they just did. I cannot touch their value, but I can. If you sue or get arbitration, then we start talking. So,
I'd like to say something, Mr. Heston, and I want to address this young lady here. I've never met her. But I want to tell you, your office and all the young women I've dealt with over the years are gracious and kind. I love Michelle Gill. I can go on. I can love Janice Lee. I can mention many of them, okay? Chelsea Montgomery. They are lovely people. They do everything they can within their ability to do what they can do. But I think the board, you need to hear this one thing. When I talked about the grace that I got back in 2008, the ARB board has not shown me any grace since then. It is all black, no gray, no white. So I think you need to know that your ARB board listens but does not respond. It's like they're deer in the headlights to you. That's all we do.
One more question, on 2023 protests, are we done?
we got like, we had some rescheduled, we got like 30.
Litigation.
We got 15 of them left.
I know it's 14 lawsuits, 14 arbitration. Is that 14 or is that 28?
No, I got 14 arbitrations, so I got 14 lawsuits.
So it's 28.
Because we have to wait on arbitration sometimes from the comptroller to give us an arbitration.
Board, any other questions for Jim and staff? We have nothing to discuss in executive session. Our next meeting, I guess, is going to be July 18th.
Excuse me, I was gonna stand up, but my foot went to sleep then before Mr. Castles has to, stop the protest. My name is Vicki Whitehouse Spencer, and I not only have a financial interest in Cleveland, Texas, but I have a very emotional interest in Cleveland, Texas. My great-grandfather settled this town, was the first county clerk, did the site of Cleveland, and was justice of the peace. And my father was a doctor here for 50 years. And he would receive sometimes eggs or a cake for breakfast, for Easter, for Christmas as a payment, or watermelon for giving services to the people of Cleveland. And as Mr. Castle knows, my husband and I not only own rental property, but we do a lot of charity work in Cleveland. And I know things are very difficult now. We are the first ones to see it because we have rental property. We see them having very hard times. And we have taken a huge hit because we don't have the heart to raise our prices when people are already struggling. And I don't know about y'all, if y'all have been in situations where people have had really hard times and can't pay their rent, can't pay their gas, can't pay their medical bills. But I think all of us have been there at one point or another. And I think maybe a ceiling on, prices. Well, our government certainly needs to make a ceiling on what they spend. And maybe our county does too. And that might be a first place to start while we're working all of these things out. And I, last year, was the one to write, because I just could not understand all the excuses y'all were giving that Texas was giving, that y'all couldn't do anything. So I wrote the tax comptroller myself. And they got back to me and said, absolutely not. The CAD board has the final say. So when we sued, they presented that, and y'all had to do something else. So I know y'all have a lot of authority yourself. I know the state has a tremendous amount of authority, but we are in very difficult times right now. And the things are very overpriced. And I can't even imagine what the people on East Cleaver are going through now that have had homes in there for 50 years and now new building going in, and those homes are valued at $300,000 and $400,000. I just can't even imagine what their tax rates are. It is just unbelievable to me. So, thank you very much.
Vicki, thank you for your comments. Good to see you, by the way. We're old friends. We go way, way back. I would encourage all of you to show up at city council meetings, school board meetings, and let them know your feelings as well as the CAD board. I think we're all very sensitive to your concerns and issues. Hopefully the elected officials and the tax people will be as well. Okay, anything else that we need to cover? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? We're electronic.
I said, see you.